I think Auburn's going to give Georgia fits. I think this game will be uncomfortably close, and I think it stays within 10.
Throws late, intercepted by Georgia. Going the other way is Malachi Starks, and that should do it.
I'm taking the under 52.5. I don't think that this game is going to go past 52 points.
Hartman, throwback. It's good. It's a 7-point game.
7 ACC championships, 2 national championships, 4 trips to the national championship game, 5 trips to the playoff, all that since 2015. Now listen, Clemson's still a top-tier program. This dynasty, it's over.
Hello, everyone. I'm Ovi Muniz. Thank you for joining our show. October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Approximately 1 in 8 women will face it in their lifetime. I just happen to know a few that are very close to me. Survivor rates have increased due to extensive research. Please make the time to support your local community research to their foundation, and let's beat cancer.
Welcome to All Four Downs. I am Joe Aguirre. Ovi Muniz will join us in just a moment. Another exciting week of college football. We're going to review some of last week's games. Our predictions didn't nail it as hard as we have in previous weeks, but we'll get into that. Deion Sanders, by the way, another L, although this time, I got to tell you, hats off to the effort of the Colorado Buffaloes. We'll also give you OV's top 25, and I got a lot to say, by the way, about the college football top 25 and this nonsense that anybody in this country should be getting first place votes outside of Ovi Muniz's Georgia Bulldogs. Ovi, I'm sorry to say, I don't get it. I don't get it at all.
I'm glad you mentioned that.
I'm going to have her at home in the final whistle, but I'm sorry to say, I'm looking at the top 25, okay? And 5 different teams received first place votes in the latest polling. And I would say this, as you look at the top 10, and I know yours is a little bit different, and I like yours better, which teams in the top 10 could go, say, 22-3 against the rest of the top 25. There's a handful of teams that can do that. And I'm telling you, to me, the only team that could run through all 25 of these teams undefeated are your Georgia Bulldogs. And I understand the game was close, and maybe there's some apprehension on that. I can explain all that, and I will do that coming up at the end of this show.
However, when it comes to the Georgia Bulldogs, they have not performed in the last 3 weeks.
Correct.
And as we go ahead and jump ahead to my top 10, there's a reason why I dropped Georgia to number 4. Their quality of, let's say, they're very slow in the first half. And like I said, Auburn had many chances to beat Georgia. They really did. But we could always go back to UAB. I mean, you're supposed to manhandle that team. We said it before. You said it plenty of times. When you go against teams that, you got the spread of 27 points, maybe more, and you should be blowing them out, and you don't do it, that's a concern.
Let me ask you this question.
Mm-hmm.
You're a Bulldogs fan, and you know I'm not.
Of course.
You watched the game?
I sure did.
You watch it live?
I sure did.
Did you think Georgia was going to lose?
Okay, let's put it this way. because Auburn could not defend Georgia's tight end,
Yeah.
right? No, in a
Right.
sense. But at the same time, it's not like we had Stetson Bennett. It's not like we had wide receivers that you could just throw it to anybody and get yardage. It was one dimensional. And that is a problem because Georgia was never a one dimensional team when it comes to the offense. And that's going to bite them in the ass because their schedule gets worse. Okay. It gets the strength of schedule gets harder. And the last 4 weeks, they played 3 out of the 4 top 25 teams. Okay. And it's not counting this weekend when they go against Kentucky. So that's going to be another team that's very explosive in the run game, and they've got a solid defense. Okay. So yes, that is a concern. Carson Beck is not Stetson Bennett. And again, he likes to force the ball a lot. He does fumble a lot. What's going on with that offensive line? Why they're not protecting Beck? That's a big difference maker. And I'm gonna tell you right now, I wouldn't be surprised if Georgia gets one loss before the SEC championship.
I'm going to disagree with you.
Okay. Unless you treat this game, the game in Auburn like a L and they come on and they explode and beat the hell out of Kentucky, then I could say, okay. But then there's a pressure. They've won 22 straight games.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yep.
And guess what? The Kentucky is known for breaking winning streaks. They've done it before in the past. And I will talk about that later on as we get to that game.
Good. Because I'm going to explain all of that away. And I'm going to explain why anybody who doesn't have Georgia still sitting at 1 is completely delusional. And I'll explain that when we're done with this show.
Fair enough. Now, Omar Johnson, big shout out to him. A veteran, and he's from my hometown as well. Texas or Ohio State can't do it, in my opinion. Do you agree?
Omar, listen, Texas is not going to do it. We all know Texas isn't going to do it. I see why you said Texas. I'll give you this. Ohio State has been impressive. Ohio State's been impressive, but still only the second best team in the Big Ten. So, not better than Georgia.
No. Well, you know what? It was proven on the semifinals. And again, I think that their offense is not as great. They miss C.J. Stroud. And by the way, did you see C.J. Stroud with the Houston Texans on Sunday?
Boy, oh boy. Tell me
Carolina's the first quarterback from Ohio State to play the position?
Yeah, tell me Carolina's not kicking themselves. I mean, they had Bryce Young locked in for so long, and it's like, oh, that Stroud kid's real good.
Yeah, absolutely.
And by the way, what Justin Fields has not proven about Ohio State quarterbacks, CJ Stroud is.
Absolutely. Here we go. All right, here we go. First down, and let's talk about that Brian Kelly look again, okay? I mean, listen, LSU falls to Ole Miss 55-49.
Yeah.
Okay. This is the Ole Miss that lost to Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden now is able to score so many points.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, have a shootout against LSU. I mean, that's just left scratching my head because Ole Miss led at the half 31-28. Then they went ahead and they were losing 42-34. And for the last 2 possessions of Ole Miss, they ended up scoring a total of 15 points to seal the deal. Why could you not do that against Alabama? Especially when they're trying to define who was the quarterback for that team. I told you don't trust them, Lane Kiffin. Then I tell you,
100%. And it's the reason why I said Ole Miss was going to beat LSU here. I felt very confident in that. Look, you are exactly right with the game against Bama. And for whatever reason, Lane Kiffin plays down when whatever the reason, but I knew he was going to come up big in this one. And listen, LSU hasn't been right in 4 years now?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean they can't even beat Florida State.
I'm not buying any hype behind this team until they do something. I feel the same way about a lot of schools. Colorado was another good example of one of those schools. They do something first, and then we'll talk about how great everybody is.
This is
But
not great for the SEC for the fact of this is that Ole Miss losing to Alabama. LSU still has to play Alabama. And let's say LSU, which defeated Alabama last year, let's say if they do beat them, it's not good.
No.
It's not good business for the whole entire conference. So you would need Alabama to win. But on top of that, there's also Texas A&M. Can they make the run and win that division? They're quietly not showing anything, but they're winning games. You see what I'm saying? They only lost to Miami, but other than that, they've been playing some good football. Here's another one. We talked about Texas, okay? And yet I got them ranked in the top 4 because it's just a resume. They beat a top 25 team. However, do they really deserve to be in the top?
No.
I mean, you're talking about Kansas, who had Jalen Daniels out for the game because he had back issues. In my opinion, Jalen Daniels could have been the difference maker. And this game could have been a lot closer, yet maybe Kansas could have pulled out that win. It's a difference maker, man. I'm telling you.
Yeah, that's huge. That's a huge difference.
When you lose, I mean, last year, Jalen Daniels was out for a few games, and Kansas was not the same. Here we go again. You pull them out, their backups is not just that high quarterback like Daniels is. Therefore, you saw the score. It's 40-14, the final score, leading into the rivalry of this weekend. So Texas got to prove that they could win the Red River rivalry. They really do.
Yeah.
Also,
we'll see what happens.
We were talking about Georgia. Tight end Brock Bowers was dominating the second half. For I don't know what the game plan was for Auburn. And again, yeah, I follow Georgia Bulldogs and everything else. But if you look at it at the other side, why are you not double covering Brock Bowers? Why not? For every 3rd and long, they gave the ball to Bowers on a long-ass pass, and he was able to get the first down, let alone score TDs. Why? I don't know. And like I said, a one-dimensional team because they always go for him for the plays. Where are the wide receivers? That's a big concern.
Well, I'll tell you where the wide receivers are. They're in the NFL. That's where most of their players are. So there is that. And also, look, I think Auburn didn't think Brock Bowers was going to beat him because typically you would probably shut that guy down and see if anybody else could step up the game. So an interesting game plan from Auburn. And obviously,
if Auburn thought about that, then they did not see the national championship. Let alone the semifinals as well, because
I have
awesome.
no better explanation for that. I just don't.
No.
It's all I could assume is they were thinking this guy's not going to beat us. And they lost.
Bowers is going to be a dominant tight end in the NFL. I promise you that. Moving on to USC wins 48-41. Colorado outscored USC in the second half 27-14. And on top of that, they scored 2 touchdowns and shut down USC in the fourth quarter. Caleb Williams, he did a fantastic job throwing 403 yards, 6 touchdowns. But now we're talking about Heisman. And you got shut down. And you threw an interception that could have just, again, that was the difference maker. Colorado, if they had more time, could have beaten USC. They could have.
Yeah, if football went to 6 quarters, and it's not going to.
But the thing is, check this out. The second half, USC, I mean, look, they barely made it with Arizona State in the second half. They went even with Stanford 7-7. So it's like, is there like a curse? Is there something going on in the second half that USC can't like hold together?
Well, listen, they won the game. And that's what matters. And you could complain about Caleb Williams' line, but it is what it is. Listen, let me say this. Colorado's got a good football team. Okay. They are not at the level of Oregon. They are not at the level of USC. Can they play with those boys? Oh, sure. They sure can. Next year, are they going to be a huge problem? Yeah. I would say so. I still think there's a lot that's got to be worked out with Colorado. And listen, we've talked about Lincoln Riley and USC and
Yeah.
anywhere Lincoln Riley's been, and defense isn't real important where he comes from.
It wasn't
And
important in Oklahoma, and that's
no,
why
it
they
wasn't
couldn't go
important
far in the
anywhere.
playoffs.
Well,
And
and
you're
listen,
right. Honestly, is it time management? Is it management a game where USC scores so much and the defense are not physically fit to be on the field that long?
look,
That
they
could be an issue.
dominated. They dominated so much in the first half that I think it was easy to go into the second half and thinking,
Nothing's ever
cruise
easy.
control, let's
They can't do that against Oregon.
100. Well, listen, if they did it against Oregon, they would have ended up losing by a couple touchdowns here. That's the difference. And look,
Right.
it's no knock on Colorado because, again, look, Colorado's got a lot of talent. They still got to learn how to play together. They got to learn how to play under Deion Sanders. These other teams have the advantage of, look, great coaches, great programs. It is what it is.
Right.
Colorado will be able to compete with these teams in the near future. Not that it'll even matter because there won't be a Pac-12, but let's say there was, or wherever they end up, I think they're going to be just fine. But USC is what it is. Great offense, no defense.
No. Hey, let's move on real quick to some not so good news. McCoy, Tennessee wide receiver Brew McCoy was taken to the hospital after a leg injury. Tennessee did defeat South Carolina 41-20, but he underwent a season-ending surgery due to a fractured ankle. Iowa quarterback Cade McNamara carted off the field with a leg injury. He had a torn ACL, which is a major blow, especially Iowa. That was their man. They were depending on him to take them to the promised land. It's a setback for the whole entire organization. And when the game was over with Duke, quarterback Riley Leonard was taken to the sideline with a medical tent for evaluation as the team left the field. What happened was he rolled his ankle, so he ended up having a high ankle sprain. Luckily for Duke, they have a bye week this week, and so let's hope that he could get back on there because without him, they're not going to be the same.
Well, they weren't that great with him.
Come on, they did good. They're doing good.
They did okay. They did okay. They definitely did. Look, Duke.
Listen,
Duke's,
when you lose to Notre Dame, you just with the rest of the ACC that lose to Notre Dame.
Look, straight up, let me tell you something. You look at some of these games, and you're talking about, again, a team like USC is loaded with 4- and 5-star recruits. And you're playing a team that's basically 3s and 2s. And that's the case both of these teams were dealing with. I don't know if Duke's pulling 3s and 2s. They're probably pulling 2s and 1s. I mean, It's Duke, for crying out loud. So when you look to me, you look at the talent gap between the top programs and everybody else. Your starting quarterback is out, or he's not having a great game, you have no chance to win these football games. It's as simple as that. That's the difference between depth. That's the difference between having a 5-star guy and replacing him with a 3-star guy, as opposed to starting a 2-star guy and you got a 1-star guy backing him up. That's the difference. And that's why these teams aren't able to hang with the big boys. They just don't have the talent.
They don't have the depth like everybody else.
Completely lacking the depth. Absolutely.
All right, here we go. Second down. Here we go. Heisman candidate 2023. It is the start of a conversation. And I'll start out with just three for now. If you want to throw some out there, by all means. But look, Michael Penix Jr. throwing for 74% of his passes, 1,999 yards. He's in first place, leading that way. Threw 16 touchdowns. Out of 178 throws, he's only thrown 2 interceptions. That's awesome right there. Caleb Williams, you got to respect the man. This guy's very talented. He won it last year. He is trying to be the first since, I guess, in the 70s, where I forgot his name. But anyways, won back-to-back Heisman. It'll come back to me. But Caleb Williams, Caleb Williams is in first place. He's thrown 21 touchdowns. His passer rating is 217.7. Fabulous. And the running back, Blake Corum from University of Michigan, he has scored 9 touchdowns. But another one that I left out that should be included as a running back is Ray Davis from Kentucky. He's scored 8 rushing touchdowns for 594 total yards. We'll get to see him play this weekend against the best rushing defense of University of Georgia.
Archie Griffin, the former
Archie
Ohio State
Griffin. There you
great,
go.
the 2-time winner. And listen, I love that you're mentioning all these other fellas, and if Michigan goes undefeated and plays in the national championship, maybe Corum's got a shot. I think this is Caleb Williams's award to lose. Everybody seems kind of enamored with the idea this guy's going to be a 2-time winner and a first-round number 1 overall pick. So Caleb Williams will
hold
have
on
to,
for a second. I want to
this.
slow everybody down when it comes to number 1 pick, because if you look at the quarterbacks that came out of Oklahoma under Lincoln Riley, look at them now.
Mm-hmm.
Mayfield, Murray, Heisman winners, where they at right now? Just saying. I will slow my roll with Caleb Williams. I'll play it smart.
Caleb Williams has a much better football body than Pee Wee Herman and Johnny Football. And so that's the problem. And I realize I'm calling Johnny Football Baker Mayfield, because really, to me, Johnny Manziel and him are the same person.
Yeah.
Same guy, doesn't matter. But yeah, listen, the NFL is something special. And when you're lacking height or your hands are too small, and that's the issue some of these guys, Bryce Young for one, dealing with. You want the prototypical quarterback body. Caleb Williams got a big one for a quarterback. That's an NFL quality quarterback, no doubt about it. He's not going to have any issues in the NFL. And I think as long as he rides this season out like he's doing, he can be fine.
All right, look at the defensive special teams. Not saying they're Heisman, but Jonah Ellis from Utah leads the way with 7.5 sacks. Maxwell Hairston from Kentucky. Secondary, 3 interceptions and 2 touchdowns. He ran it 3 interceptions, 2 of them ran it back for a touchdown. That's pretty awesome.
That's
and
sick.
Carter Brown from Cincinnati is already kicking 10 field goals and leads the way with a total of 46 points. Now that's the guy that you want in your team for that game-winning field goals.
Sounds like Cincinnati's not scoring.
In the NFL.
Sounds like Cincinnati's not scoring any touchdowns.
All right, here we go. College football playoffs. I'm looking at them right now. I'm looking at that my eye test here for my top 25. So here we go. We start from 21 to 25. Duke, Kentucky, Fresno State, Liberty, and Utah. And before I even continue, I know they had a lot of questions, and we got questions on the YouTube channel, okay, about my top 25. So I'm here to tell you the reasons why, and thank you for your support. But look, Duke came with a loss. They dropped Kentucky for the first time in my list, made it to the top 25. Well deserved. Fresno State, Liberty, and Utah, okay, respectively. But you understand, Utah lost to Oregon State. Like I told you, it was going to happen. Okay. And if you put Cam Rising in there, it really didn't matter. That's it. It really didn't matter. 16 to 20, Washington State, North Carolina, Oregon State, Maryland, Missouri. Oregon State makes it all to my top 25. But Washington State dropped one, but that's okay. That's all right. Because don't make it happen again. Pac-12, I got to give you mad respects to you guys. 11 to 15, Miami dropped 3. Yeah, they didn't play. But the other teams were just a lot better. We'll get to that also. USC, they also dropped. Again, they're not playing anybody, but their schedule's getting harder, and we're going to see if they could climb all the way to the top. And I wasn't the only one, and I will show you on the AP and coaches poll. Ole Miss jumped 7 spots, Tennessee and Washington. Yeah, I got questioned about Washington. So let me tell you this. Washington really hasn't played anybody. They're winning big. But now, this weekend and many weeks after this, they're going against top 25 teams. So I want to see if Washington is the real deal. Everyone wants to crown them already to go to the college football playoffs. Slow down.
Yeah,
please slow down. Pac-12 always chokes, and I won't say that word always when it comes crunch time near Thanksgiving. I'm just going to tell you that right there. Okay. 6 through 10, Oklahoma, mad respect. And of course, they're playing Texas this weekend. Florida State, Alabama, Notre Dame, and Penn State. I'm still like shocked that I got Penn State in the top 10 just because they're the third best team in that division.
Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, they're going to about to play Ohio State.
Yeah.
They're going to play Michigan.
Yeah.
Come on. You really think that they're going to make it? Come on now.
I'll be honest, I don't think Penn State could beat any of the teams that you have in front of them on that list. I don't think Penn State would beat any one of those teams. And I'll say this, I wouldn't say the same thing about Alabama.
You wouldn't say the same thing to Alabama.
Alabama, I think, could beat everybody in that top 10, Georgia included.
Okay. All right. And that could be a strong possibility that they can meet in the SEC championship. But my top 5, brand new, Michigan #1, Oregon. I got questioned about Oregon, thinking they're ranked too high. Well, they've been beating everybody, and they played a ranked team, and they're doing very, very good with Bo Nix, which they needed to. Okay. Texas, congratulations. Let's see if this is the moment right now to shut everybody up. You have to beat Oklahoma. Georgia at number 4, they got to win big against Kentucky. And then you have Ohio State. All right. And comparing to the top 10 versus AP and coaches poll, everybody still got Georgia and Michigan in the top 2. Why you got Georgia on the top? That's not a great eye test that the college football committee is looking. They're not looking in that. And that's why you have a committee, because AP and the coaches poll are very biased. Okay. All right. Texas. Okay. We agree. They're number 3. The coaches poll have a number 4. All right. We got this. All right. Florida State, they were on the top 4 on both those lists. They kind of dropped. No one's talking about that. Penn State, both of them at number 6. Are we serious right now? Or are you trying to add a resume like they used to do with Alabama?
Yep.
Stop it. Just stop it. Oregon at number 8. Have you been watching the games like I have? Your eyes and my eyes are totally different. I'll tell you that much. Okay. And mad respect, because they got Alabama, Notre Dame in the top 10. That's fine. And I think that, in my opinion, my list looks logical compared to what we might see on the first Tuesday of November when we get our first college football top 25 playoffs, baby. I'm telling you that right now. Yeah. And this show is brought to you by, once again, we go both ways. We got the NFL that's coming up after this show. And of course, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. The college football is all 4 downs. And we're talking about all 4 downs. We're hitting it with the college football bettings. And we'll start with Kentucky versus Georgia. Woo! I talked about this before. Kentucky snapped Oklahoma's 31-game win streak from 1948 to 1950, and it happened at the Sugar Bowl. They won 13-7. Georgia has won 22 straight games. Their last loss was in the SEC championship game versus Alabama, 41-24, and that happened December 4th, 2021. Alabama, 20 games snapped by Mississippi State, and the reason why I put that there, because it was SEC versus the SEC. So the last time that happened was in 1978 to 1980. The game was, the final score, 6-3 November 1st of 1980. Can you believe it? 6-3. Woohoo!
Wow.
What a game.
Yeah.
Sounds like an Army versus Navy game.
Or Iowa versus Iowa State.
And Alabama, 26 games snapped by Clemson, 2015. That happened at the national championship. You remember that one? But overall, if you look at the far right of my column, Georgia has a 13-game win streak against Kentucky. The last time Kentucky won was November 21st, 2009 in Athens, which that's where the game is being played at. The final score there was 34-27. Georgia leads the series 62-12-2. And it goes dated back to October 21st, 1939. Pretty amazing.
Wow.
On October 8th, 1949, which that is the game that we're going to be tuning into, Kentucky won 25-0 in Lexington, Kentucky. So with all that history, Kentucky and Georgia. Georgia's favored by 15 points.
Yep.
Are you leaning to the point spread with Kentucky?
I'm going to take the points.
Mm.
It's going to be a close game. Georgia will win. Georgia will not cover.
Wow. I'll tell you this. This is too small of a points for you to make a prediction that is going to be less than 15. I'm going to tell you this. If Georgia, if Kirby Smart is very smart in dealing with the situation, I'm going to tell you this. They're going to take that Auburn game like a big L, and they're going to go back home, and they're going to conquer Kentucky. They will. I'm taking the points on this one. I got to.
I love it.
I have to. All right. Oh, the largest comeback in Baylor history.
Hector, you're the only person that cares about that.
All right, here we go. Notre Dame versus Louisville. Now, I purposely have this there because for the first time in a long time, you have Kentucky and Louisville in the same state, both of them 5-0. And no respect is given to Louisville because nobody's really talking about them. I have. But anyways,
we talked about them last week. I'm going to take the 6.5, and I'm going to take Louisville. I think Louisville straight up wins a close game here.
Woo! Wow.
I listen, I'm not impressed by Notre Dame. I would have dropped Notre Dame out of the top 10. I understand Duke's a better program, but give me a break. You know, people want to bitch and moan about Georgia barely getting by. A good Auburn team, a great Auburn program, an SEC team. And for some reason, we're going to pretend Duke is some kind of powerhouse. Not buying it. Not impressed by Notre Dame. I still think their coach is an idiot, and he's done nothing to dispel that to me. Louisville wins this football game, and Notre Dame finally takes a tumble in where they belong.
Okay, I respect that. I do, but I'm gonna go the other way here.
Do it.
I am. I'm gonna take the 6.5. Notre Dame has to win big to prove everybody they're still top 10. Okay, look at the comparisons when they play against NC State. Notre Dame won 45-24. Louisville beat them 13-10. And by the way, the head coach of the North Carolina State Wolfpack fired their quarterback. All right. Oh, where's my yes? Brendan Armstrong has been benched, and now they will play sophomore MJ Morris to start this week against Notre Dame. Nope.
Just what they needed.
Not against Notre Dame. I'll take that back. In their game. I forgot we're talking about Louisville here. But yeah, NC State fired their quarterback, man. Pretty amazing. But I'm taking Notre Dame. I'm going for because of their defense. Okay. So Notre Dame loses series 2-1. Let's talk about this one, the All-State Red River rivalry between Oklahoma and Texas. Who you got?
I'm a Dylan Gabriel fan. I thought last year the wheels came off the bus. They got to such a great start. I think Texas is kind of in that spot this year. And as I always say, whenever Texas has that opportunity to really cement how good of a team they are, they lose. This is, by the way, take the over. I think this is going to be a shootout for the ages. I think this is going to be one of those score where maybe they're both in the 50s. At least one of them does. Somebody's in the upper 40s. I think this is an absolute shootout.
I'm going to go with you on the over. Texas is favored, I think, by 5.5 right now. Texas leads the series 63-50-5. The rivalry takes place in the Cotton Bowl, Dallas, Texas, which is the neutral site. It's a neutral site, but it's in Texas. Just saying. How neutral can that be?
Yeah.
Texas won last year, 49-0. The rivalry has started October 10th.
By the way, Dylan Gabriel didn't play in that game.
No, he did not.
And it was literally as the wheels were completely coming off Oklahoma's bus that they had this 49-0 debacle.
Oklahoma didn't have an identity. It was a first-year head coach, okay? Got to give the guy a break. Look at him now. And you know what? This is awesome because if Oklahoma finds a way to beat Texas, they're top 4.
Yep.
They're top 4. All right. By the way, they only met each other once in the championship, the Big 12 championship. So many since 1900. The only time they faced each other in the championship. One time.
Yeah.
Seriously?
Isn't that crazy?
Oh man. But yeah, I'll take the over on this one. It's hard to choose because I like Dylan Gabriel. He's a transfer, and man, I just like both these. I love both these schools. I really do.
Pick
It's gonna
one.
be. I don't know if I should do this or do this.
Yeah.
I
Let's
don't
see what
know.
you got.
This is
Flip
the
them.
Longhorns, right?
Yep.
This is the Sooners.
Yep.
You got to ride them Cowboys, don't you?
Yes, sir.
The Sooners be riding that wagon. Guess what? I'm gonna ride with them, baby.
Yes.
Woo! And by the way, they don't have B. John Robinson. Just to
That's
let
right.
you know. That's out. Maryland versus Ohio State. Ohio State's favorite 18 points. You think they cover with Tagovailoa's little brother?
Yeah, I'll tell you what. I think but you might be in the third quarter. It might be a closer game. And you might be worried. I think by the time all is said and done, Ohio State definitely puts up 20 points more than Maryland does. So don't get worried if you go Ohio State here and it looks like it's close. It feels close. I think, again, by the end of the game, they'll have cleared the threshold and you'll be all right.
All right. So Ohio State's 8-0 all time against Maryland. So I stick with Ohio State winning. I will not bet on this game because the spread or the points really is so like big. It's like negative 1,000 or something like that. It's not worth wasting your money on that. However, if you do pick Maryland, that's a plus like 2,000-3,000. Go for it, man. Put $1, you might get $1,000 back. All right, LSU versus Missouri, two top 25 teams, which is I'm scratching my head as to why LSU is ranked. Please tell me why, with 2 losses, you already still on the top 25.
Because it's LSU and it's the same BS every single year. And Brian Kelly's the coach. And so, again, there's a lot of reasons. I mean, honestly, to have 2 losses in the top 25 at this point is a joke. Yeah. It's an absolute joke. And again, it just speaks to they're doing what they can.
That's not an eye test. That's a blind test.
This is nonsense. It's absolute nonsense. That said, I do think LSU is going to beat Missouri.
Well, on this one, the home team has an advantage. Okay, Missouri leads 2-1. They won the Liberty Bowl against each other in 1978, but in the regular season, both teams won at home. So I'm actually taking Missouri 6.5. I really am. And you look at the bottom, their rush yards. Yeah. They're deep. They're rushing defense. I mean, I think they could slow down LSU. And I think LSU ran out of gas from last week's game. All right. Washington State and UCLA. UCLA is favored 3.5, not in the top 25, but Washington State is supposedly ranked 13. UCLA leads the series. UCLA won last year in Washington. They went ahead and won 67-63. I'm taking UCLA in this game.
I'm going to take Washington State. I do think this is going to be another shootout. I don't know if it's going to be a 130-point game, but I think you're going to see at least 100 points between these two.
Okay, Alabama versus Texas A&M. I am taking the upset. I'm taking the Aggies at home. Okay, despite Alabama leading the series 12-3, this is a game that the Aggies have to win. If not, you know what? The hell with the SEC conference, because they got to be rigged. But man, they got one hell of a defense. Okay, their offense is explosive, and if they could be able to contain the quarterback, Aggies will win. If they go out trying to sack Jalen Monroe will run all over that team. Expect this game to be a low-score game.
Yeah, I think Alabama's going to steal this one out at the end and beat Texas in a close one.
Syracuse versus North Carolina. This series is tied 3-3. Syracuse has a better defense, and their offense is like they're there. I'm taking Syracuse with the 9 points.
Syracuse looked shockingly inept against a really vulnerable Clemson program. It was Syracuse's best chance to beat Clemson, and it wasn't even close. And I think North Carolina might be the best team in the ACC. So I'll give Syracuse 9 because I think Carolina is going to carry the day by 20.
Say what?
Yeah, Carolina's going to blow them out. Syracuse.
I'm
so disappointed.
You got me confused on that.
Oh, no. God, no.
You had me believe Syracuse.
Carolina's going to blow Syracuse out of the water here. I thought Syracuse was ready to start competing with the good teams in the ACC. And what I saw last week, no, they're not even close. Garrett Schrader was awful. And they had no chance against Clemson. And I really did. I thought Syracuse, if they weren't going to be close and pull off the upset, I thought they got blown. Their doors got blown off. Carolina easy in this one.
Well, Clemson came out with a loss, so they took their frustrations on Syracuse.
One is not to say Syracuse come out. This might have been the biggest moment in Syracuse football history since like 87 when they went to like the Liberty Bowl. It's been a long time since Syracuse football was relevant. They looked good. They were primed and poised to beat Clemson at home, and they got absolutely embarrassed.
All right, well, you know what? I'll take your pick. I'll go for North Carolina for you. I'll put money down, but you convince me. Yeah. But if I tell you that it goes the other way, you're paying my you're refunding my money.
Fair enough.
Fresno State versus Wyoming. I had to add another game. Fresno State 6.5.
I like Fresno State. I think Fresno State wins this one. I think they'll definitely cover.
All right, Rutgers versus Wisconsin. Wisconsin leads the series 4-0. Looking at this, Rutgers look like they got a great defense, but Wisconsin has a better offense. And giving 13 points to Wisconsin, all right, I'll go for Wisconsin at home.
Yeah, I think Wisconsin's got this one covered. Rutgers is off to a solid start as far as Rutgers is concerned, but
no, they're in a solid start like they usually do when they start with the Big Ten. They
absolutely, yeah. This is an easy one.
Listen, all great. And like I said, this is a good show. And I thank everybody for tuning in to All Four Downs podcast. But we're down to the final whistle. And the show is yours.
Thank you, my friend. Listen, I told you last week, Georgia is not as good as their past two championship teams. And I said they would struggle against Auburn. That's not a knock on Georgia, and it wasn't a compliment about Auburn. Georgia broke the NFL draft record in 2022 with 15 players selected. That was the most ever in the 7-round format. Last year, 10 more players were drafted. There are 47 Bulldogs in the NFL right now. I'll give you one better. There's 26 Auburn Tigers in the NFL. As a matter of fact, the SEC has 405 players in the NFL. That is 21.5% of the entire league. It is more than the Pac-12 and the ACC have combined. The talent level of the SEC is on another level. So when Georgia struggles with a 3-1 Auburn team, this isn't Notre Dame struggling to beat Duke. Georgia's placed 25 men in the NFL the last 2 off seasons, graduated their starting quarterback, running back, most of their defensive stars, and yet they keep on winning. It isn't always sexy, but you're kidding yourself if you don't think Georgia is hands down the best team in the country by virtue of being the class of the SEC. No offense to Michigan State, Texas, Ohio State, and Florida State, but anybody who awarded first place votes over Georgia, you're trying way too hard. Georgia will three-peat, and they'll probably beat a Big Ten team by 40 points to win the national championship. Cut them some slack right now. They're going to be all right. Thank you for watching tonight's show. For my man, and the biggest Bulldogs fan around, Auburn Tigers. I am Joe Aguirre. We'll catch you next week for All Four Downs.